'Tis the Ministry of Silly Walks.
Yeah. Ow, almost popped a kneecap. Hey guys, Metal Jesus here, and I'm back with another travel video. This time we're going down to Portland, Oregon for the epic Portland Retro Gaming Expo. Last year's show was probably one of the best ever, so I'm excited to go down with my buddy Drunken Master Paul and my wife Rebecca. This year I'm very excited to check out 4 things. The first one being the ModRetro M64 clone system is going to be playable there, as well as the Vectrex Mini, also the Intellivision Sprint, and there is going to be a special reunion of the Legends of Sierra Online, which I hosted. But beyond that, there's also an exhibit dedicated to full motion video games, as well as you got all the vendors and arcade machines that you could possibly want. And at the end of this video, I'm going to share everything I picked up. Let's take a look.
Oh, yeah.
Paul, I thought you were going to bring in the cool car.
I did.
What?
Yeah, I brought the really cool one. Yeah. It's something.
You know why you didn't bring the other one? Because the other one leaks in the rain, doesn't it?
I can neither confirm nor deny that, Senator, that I didn't quite get it finished enough to drive in the rain. And, you know, last time I checked, we live in the Pacific Northwest. And
yeah,
that looks like rain.
Yeah, 30 minutes ago, it was raining.
Yeah.
Paul has this really cool self-modified Dodge Charger that he's turned from a car into a truck. It's awesome. He's worked on it for a couple years now, but yeah, it's not finished, and it's supposed to rain this weekend, which I thought was pretty funny. So I guess it's time for the minivan. That is not as cool. You guys know that I do this trek pretty much every year from Seattle area down to Portland, and I enjoy it every time. It's just far enough. It's about 180 miles. Takes roughly about 2.5 to 3 hours to get down there, depending on traffic. This time wasn't too bad, and actually we didn't have much rain. It's a pretty typical kind of fall, winter day. Checking into our hotel, the Hyatt Regency, which is just right across the street from the convention center. It's a great location, and actually I really like this hotel just because it's kind of updated and modern. And the view is just gorgeous out the window. If you've never been to Portland, Oregon, it's a great visit in the fall because the leaves are turning and the weather is just a tad nicer than Seattle. It's funny because it's not that far away, but it's noticeable. I'm able to walk around in shorts, which is still cool. And so once checked into the hotel, we're going to walk across the street and go to the first day of the expo, which again is Friday. And day one has expanded over the years. It used to be that on Fridays, it was just the arcade section. But now they've started allowing vendors to set up in a section of it and then sell their products. So that's actually really great for people like me who want to get a jump on buying stuff a day early, since, you know, most people just come on Saturday. I also think it's designed to help sell weekend passes, right? And especially if you live in the Seattle and Portland area and you don't mind being there all weekend, this is a good deal. And again, it gets you a jump up on everybody else.
I shouldn't have brought my van. I can haul home way too much stuff.
One of the first things that we wanted to check out is the brand new FMV section within the museum. So this is a section of the museum dedicated to full motion video games. And this is the first year that they're doing this, and it's a tribute to Roberta Vaughn, who is a big part of the retro gaming scene in the Seattle area, as well as a massive fan of adventure games. However, sadly, she passed away earlier, just a couple months ago, and it was sudden. And so friends and family and people who knew her and just loved being around her wanted to pay tribute to her this year. And this was really neat. This was a long time coming, but it was great to see this tribute for Roberta. Some of you probably know that Paul was a part of the game Phantasmagoria 2, and his teeth were on display here. That was really fun to see. Paul was also part of a FMV panel with the actors from the original Phantasmagoria. This is pretty cool. So they were playing the game live. They were also talking about their experiences making the game and taking questions from the audience. My game, Shivers 2, along with so many other FMV games, were on display here, and this was a really nice little tribute, again, to a part of gaming that doesn't get a lot talked about or as much love as I think it should, because at the time, so many great games were FMV games. Also part of this museum, John Hancock is displaying his complete boxed NES collection. So this is every single game released in North America. He's got that crazy collection, and this was really cool to see as well. That's pretty much it for day one. Time to hit the hay and wake up good and early for the main event. All right, we wake up the next day, Saturday, and it is typically foggy here, but don't worry, it's going to clear up pretty quick here, and it's going to be a nice sunny fall morning. Right off the bat, there's this big Back to the Future exhibit right as you walk in. And this is totally unexpected. I had no idea this was going to be there. There's lots of collectibles for fans to buy that are just sitting on this table here. Plus, you've got the completely tricked out DeLorean car. And essentially what they're doing is you can take photos in front of us. There was an actor there that was designed to look like Marty McFly. So cool to see a little bit more kind of movie stuff going on at Portland. Of course, I had to hightail it to the Pink Gorilla booth, which was larger than years before, and I guess it turns out they just had a lot of stuff that they wanted to sell. Usually they're there at Portland to buy stuff for their retail stores, but had a bigger booth this year, and the first thing I noticed was this Xbox 360 faceplate that I've never seen before. Now, most of them are pretty cheap, but as you see here, this one is going for $150. Yes, some of them are collectible, and no, this is a bit out of my price range, so I left it for somebody else. If you guys have seen my videos before, you've probably seen me wear a Sound Blaster shirt, and I get asked all the time, where did I get it? I got it from this guy. Every year he's got a booth at Portland selling awesome gaming shirts, and I love looking through these. So many cool ones. I got several, and I'll be showing those in future videos. However, I didn't have a lot of time to look around on the floor just yet because my panel is one of the first ones, and it's at noon, so I had to run over there and get ready for my Legends of Sierra panel. And it was an honor to be asked to host this panel, which was made up of developers and producers who made games like King's Quest, Leisure Suit Larry, Space Quest, Quest for Glory, and so many other games. And this was pretty funny. It was completely off the cuff. Basically, I kind of got the ball rolling, but we took questions from the audience. And at one point, Al Lowe, the creator of Leisure Suit Larry, talked about a disagreement he had with the people who made the HD remake back in 2013. And so this was a really fun panel. They got to ask all sorts of questions. There was insight into the early days of Sierra before I ever worked there, as well as the 90s when I did, and kind of the heyday of Sierra. And they were very honest. There were things that they liked and things that they didn't like. The Expo recorded this and will put this out in its entirety in a couple weeks. So when they do, I'll come back and I'll link to that in the video description.
Dude, Portland's really good this year, but you're looking a little tired, dude.
I am tired. The hotel mattress sucks.
Yeah, they really do.
I miss my, I got a new mattress at home.
You got a new mattress? Tell me about it.
It's glorious. Guys, I'm not just saying this because this is a sponsored ad, but oh my gosh, my old mattress, like the hotel mattress, was so bad. It was so annoying. It was like sleeping in a trench. It was all foam and no support. It drove me crazy. And so when I had a chance to get a new Titan mattress, oh my gosh, I jumped at the chance. Now, if you're not familiar with Titan Mattress, they are built by Brooklyn Bedding in Arizona. They were founded in 1995 by two brothers, and they've been in business for 30 years. I got the new Titan Plus Elite mattress in the California king size because you guys know I am a big dude and I need a big mattress. The first thing I noticed when I started unboxing this, it is heavy, it is solid, especially compared to my previous mattress. And it makes sense because this thing has a lot going on, specifically 6 layers, including 8 inches of their Titan core, which is individually encased coils. I like a firm mattress and I want the extra support, and this definitely has that. In addition to that support, it's also got a cooling cloud pillow top along with comfort foam and pressure relieving microcoils. Now they have several mattresses to choose from depending on the size of your bed and also the type of sleep that you want. As I mentioned, I chose the Titan Plus Elite, and that has their Glacio Tex cooling pillow top, which is designed to keep you cool at night without sacrificing the underlying support, which is very important to me. This comes with a 120 night trial period, which allows you to return the mattress if you're not completely satisfied. They also have free shipping and a limited lifetime warranty. And so if you are like me and it's time to get a new mattress, I think you should visit titanmattress.com/MetalJesus, and you're gonna get 30% off your order with the code MetalJesus. And so click the link in the video description below or scan that QR code. And again, go to titanmattress.com/MetalJesus to get 30% off your order. And I wanna thank them for sponsoring this video. Getting back out on the main floor, I see lots of cool computer games for sale this year. I'm starting to see more and more of these. I actually had several vendors tell me that there is more demand for big box PC and computer games this year than in past years, which is great, right? For so long, the focus was really just on console games. And I don't know if people are just getting older, maybe more nostalgic for their youth, but yeah, it's nice to see a lot of PC games for sale at expos like this. I stumbled upon this. This was kind of a surprise. So this is a new version of Turbo Racing for the Atari 2600. And check out this custom paddle controller. So the original Atari did have like a racing controller, but this one right here adds in extra buttons specifically for this game and shifting. I thought that was pretty neat. So in addition to obviously, accelerating, but you can also shift and you can steer. And this is cool. So I didn't know this is going to be here. This is the ModRetro M64. It's on display here and completely playable to anybody who wants to walk up and just try it. If you're not familiar with this, it's kind of a big deal. So this is a new open source FPGA clone system of the Nintendo 64, and it plays original cartridges. This has an early bird price of $200, and it's going to include 4K digital output as well as they're going to support analog output. So essentially you're going to be able to do any of that stuff. You're going to be able to do digital if you want to do it on a big HD television, or if you got a CRT sitting around or an LCD, you're going to be able to get adapters, and I guess fairly inexpensively, and do analog output as well. And they're claiming that it's going to have better performance and support than the popular Mr. project. I guess it's going to use parts of the Mr. cores, but they're kind of rolling their own so that it's going to be more portable to other devices. I watched an interview with Palmer Luckey, who is the guy who is running the company and making this thing, and it's pretty ambitious, and they're trying to keep the price low. I have to say it does look pretty good, although I didn't see any of the operating system or what options it will support, like display resolutions beyond 4K or even scan lines. I didn't get to see any of that stuff. So I'm hoping when this thing does come out, I'll get an opportunity to test and review it. But again, it was awesome to see it here on the floor. You old school gamers in the Seattle area may remember that up until recently we had a living computer museum, and that was a place where you could go and put your hands on vintage computers across every decade of hardware. It was great. However, it closed earlier this year, and thankfully it found its way to the Portland Retro Gaming Expo. So this entire section right here was curated by the team, and it was kind of, I guess, designed as a way to announce that the museum will live on, but instead of being in Seattle, it's actually going to be south of Seattle near Tukwila. And so yeah, I was really bummed to hear when it was closing, but I'm glad to see that it won't die. It's just going to find a new home. And I talked to the people running it, and once they get all settled in and set up, I plan to go down there and do an entire video giving you guys a complete tour of that. So definitely stay tuned. Seems like every year there is a table with a bunch of really cool stuff from Brazil, and this year was no exception. check out this Onyx Junior by Micro Digital. This thing looks wild, right? So this is an Atari 2600 clone system that was actually sold in stores. I mean, doesn't it look like something from like the 1960s Soviet Union? By the way, take a look at that price. Yes, it says $1,700. Whew, it's rare, but not coming home with me. Here's a Nintendo game system that would be used in children's hospitals around the Northwest. You'll occasionally find these on Craigslist, or more often they're actually in collectors' hands, and so they are actually pretty hard to find. Now, this one right here has a Wii U setup, and it's ready to play by kids. You can just walk up and mess around with it. I thought this is pretty cool. This is Typing of the Dead, but it's on the PlayStation 2. Most people, myself included, would see this on the Dreamcast. I had never seen that before. Oh yeah, and I'm really excited to check out the Vectrex Mini. So this is a crowd-funded remake of the famous gaming console from the early 80s. Now, I have an original Vectrex in the collection, and it's a wonderful vector-based gaming system that basically uses its own game cartridges. So there's not many of them, but it's cool. It plays physical games. And again, it came out in the 80s. It wasn't considered a success at the time, but over the years, its reputation has grown as people discover it. And I gotta tell you, it's a great system. And now more gamers are going to get to try this mini version of it really soon. At this event, they're showing two prototypes of this. One is running a Raspberry Pi, and the other is actually running Windows. And the reason why they did that is to give people an idea as to what to truly expect when they do build their own version of it. So they're going to basically take things that they can only get on the Raspberry Pi, probably maybe performance or something, and then some of the other things from Windows. And like I said, roll their own solution and do kind of the best of both worlds when this actually ships. And I think they did this to get feedback from people and give them an idea as to what they can ultimately expect when this does ship. Now, this is going to come with built-in games, but there is also an SD slot on the side of it that will allow you to add other games from the catalog, like retail games that came out in the 80s, as well as homebrews that have come out since, of which there are actually a lot of them. The controller is wireless with the same layout as the original, although it's definitely smaller, and I think a lot of people, myself, were kind of concerned as to whether it would feel good, as a smaller controller. And I have to say, actually, it does, because of the layout of those buttons, it still feels and plays completely normal. So, actually, again, this was a surprise. This is cool to see. I love the fact that fans that are passionate of the original are making this happen. So I'm excited to review this when it finally comes out. There were several light gun solutions here, and over the years I've reviewed many of these, but this was a chance to check out the upcoming game light gun. They had a booth here and they were letting people check out their product. The difference here is that this is fully licensed by Namco, and they actually work with Namco to try and make this particular one the best dedicated solution yet. This is a standalone device that runs the arcade versions of Time Crisis, Point Blank, and a few other Namco shooters. But what's interesting is that they're using AI technology to do the screen mapping in real time, meaning that it doesn't need any devices attached to your television to detect the gun, or it doesn't need any of those fake borders around the game. I guess they're doing AI to handle all of that during calibration. This will be shipping very soon, and I should have a unit in my game room to test and review soon, so stay tuned. Here's the other thing I was very curious to see. This is the Intellivision Sprint. This was announced and playable at Portland. And this, as you can see here, is a brand new Intellivision console that also has HDMI out. It's got these Bluetooth wireless controllers, and it comes with 45 built-in games. They are also including the overlays for each game. That's the little plastic thing that you slide into the controller there, which is very handy because some of these games, use those extra buttons to select players, or sometimes you use them to, control things within the game. So it's very nice getting those overlays. Played around with this a bit. Admittedly, I'm not a huge Intellivision guy. I was more of an Atari guy growing up. but I do like it when these things come out because it reaches a new audience. This is going to retail for $150. Now, sadly, this doesn't support original cartridges. I would have loved to have seen that. Although I guess Atari, who now owns the brand, is open to future versions of this hardware if collectors and gamers want it. So they're going to get this one out, see what the reaction is, and potentially do one that, you know, allows for real cartridges in the future. We'll see. And like every year, Portland continues to have one of the best arcade and pinball sections of any expo I go to. I think it's because the local scene is so big into both of those. And so they get a bunch of machines from all these collectors around the area. The great thing is they're always set to free to play. And I love how they're just integrated into the main floor. I think they're doing this really well now where you can go and you can hit a vendor, then you can wander off just to the left or to the right and play a game or two, and it's all just kind of one big area. So it's pretty fun. And so that, guys, is most of the highlights from the show, but I did pick some stuff up, so let's take a look. Here was a bit of a surprise. It's called Console Wars. So this is a comic by fellow Seattleite Corey Lewis. This is going to be a series of comic books that covers the history of video game console wars, but told with giant robot battles. All these robots need to be piloted by humans, I guess kind of like Evangelion, but in this first issue here, I guess I'm the inspiration for the guy that is piloting the Atari console. He told me that, which is a total honor. Although honestly, he drew me way cooler and sexier than I am in real life, but I'll take it, right? This started as a Kickstarter and he blew past his original goal, but if you want to get yourself one or see what other cool comics this guy has, check out that link right there. And speaking of Atari, here is a new Atari game by David Crane called Rescue from Poseidon's Gate. David Crane, as most of you know, is the creator of the original Pitfall by Activision, as well as Pitfall 2, Kaboom, Ghostbusters, Little Computer People, A Boy and His Blob, and I guess he worked on Night Trap too. I had no idea about that until this trip. Plus, you know, a bunch more games that you probably have in your collection. In this new game here, you are a deep diving expert aboard the USS Poseidon on a deep sea research vessel that has gone into dangerous waters filled with sharks that want to damage your vehicle, and, you know, they're sharks, so they want to eat your crew. The game plays in 5 phases, and the first one being where you control your diver in I guess you'd call it like a controlled descent to the seafloor while trying to manage your air. Down on the seafloor, you kind of hop and float through the water trying to avoid obstacles to get to the mini-sub that's been stranded. You're going to skirt past sharks as you try to release the mini-sub, and then you have to return safely to the surface. You have to deal with negative buoyancy. So there's a lot going on with this game, but as you can see here, it's another high-quality release from David Crane and Audacity Games. So if you're into that and you got an Atari 2600, check it out. Found a couple Nintendo Switch games, the first one being the Telenet Shooting Collection. So this is the Japanese version that comes with 4 classic shoot-'em-ups. These are HD ports of games like Granada, also Gaiares, I think that's how you pronounce that, Avenger, and Psychic Storm. The first 2 games are based on the Sega Genesis versions, and then the last 2 are ports from the PC Engine. Now, I played a lot of the first 2 games, but actually Psychic Storm was the game in this collection that I was hooked on the most when capturing this footage. So anyways, this is a pretty cool collection, and thankfully it wasn't expensive at all. The other Switch game is Towerfall. So this is an indie game that originally came out on the Ouya back in 2013. Does anybody remember the Ouya game console? I guess other than John Hancock, who was the only other person I know that actually owned one. I don't know, but you know, at the time, this was the reason most people wanted that system. And you know, for good reason, right? It's a fun 4-player action fighting game where most people compare this to probably Super Smash Brothers. And by the way, I just got the game, so I haven't invited anybody over to play with me. So this footage you're seeing right here is me just playing the single player game against the computer. I know this eventually came out on the PlayStation 4 and the Vita, although I hadn't played it until now. So pretty cool to get a physical version of it for the Switch. I walked past this small table at the back of the expo, and there was this lone dude sitting there selling what I learned is his own game called Speedo Llama. And since I am always curious about games I know nothing about, I had to ask him, I'm like, what's the deal with this? Well, it turns out he ponied up his own money to do a small print run with Sony on the PlayStation 5, like only a few weeks before this expo. And he came here, got a table, and he's selling copies at the event. And he was really pushing the Steelbook version, but honestly, I hadn't played the game. I hadn't even heard of the game. And so I just got the standard edition. But when I got home, I popped it in. I tried it. You guys are seeing the footage here. Basically what this is, it's a roguelike, speed-running, run-and-gun game. When you start the game, it randomly generates a level, and then you have a time limit at the top, usually 5 minutes, to run and gun through this game trying to get the required amount of crystals to unlock the exit. Now, I'll admit I don't love games that have a time limit like this, but the controls and the gameplay in this is spot on. Like, this is not frustrating in any way. It's just like panic inducing because you only have 5 minutes and you've got this huge map to try to find these jewels, right? And thankfully there is a map that you can bring up so you know where you need to go and or what you've forgotten or, you know, where these jewels are. But I gotta be honest, that 5 minutes goes fast and I'm not great at the game. I was able to get several levels into it. Thankfully you do get weapon upgrades and things like that. But yeah, pretty crazy game. I'd never heard of it before, but it's cool to have the physical. Another Atari 2600 game, this is a new shooter by Champ Games called Spider Arcade. I got this after playing the game on the floor and it was super fun. It's cool to be able to go up and actually try some of these homebrews at these expos, you know, before you actually commit to getting them, right? But as you can see here, it's a mix of, I would say, Centipede and maybe Galaxian. What I appreciated about this game is that it has multiple difficulty levels because, you know, sometimes those old school shooters can be brutal, but this one felt fine. So that was the thing that was like, okay, I'm gonna get this game. And again, I love seeing a box version of a new Atari 2600 game with the cartridge and manual. I was given a hell of a deal on this. Now, I enjoyed Assassin's Creed quite a bit. I know not everybody liked it, but I really enjoyed it. Finished the game. I love the stories, the characters, the Japanese setting, as well as the stealth gameplay. And this dude, we're going to call him Dan the Man, had this collector's edition at the booth. I was kind of walking around last minute, and like I said, he gave me such a deal, I couldn't resist it. Now, if you played the game, you know that you play as both characters, and this statue has both of them together, and I think they look pretty cool. It also comes with a bunch of goodies, including a art book, there is a wall scroll, there's a lithograph, there's a world map, you get a steelbook, as well as a katana guard. It's funny because I'm very reluctant to buy these big collector's edition before games are launched because, you know, you never know if you're going to like something until you actually play it. And I don't need a bunch of collector's editions, you know, in my game room. I don't need to try to find space for them. However, when I enjoy a game this much and I run into a deal this good, I'm more than happy to add it to the game room. And so thank you, Dan. I really appreciate it. And so that, guys, was our trip to Portland for the epic Portland Retro Gaming Expo. Thanks so much to everybody who came up and said hi and asked questions and went to the panel. That was awesome. And, you know, just making this expo one of the best in the country. It's never disappointed. It's like going back and seeing friends and family every year. It's just such a joy. So thank you so much for all your hospitality and your good vibes. And as always, guys, I want to thank you for watching my channel. Thank you for subscribing, and take care.